Good morning, dear students. I am Dr. Saroj Kumar Chandra, School of Computing Science and Engineering, Galgotias University, Greater Noida, India. In this lecture, I will discuss more on the pointers. In the last lecture, we have seen how pointers can be used to store memory address of another variables and how we can perform operations by using the pointers. So before starting the lecture, a student must have a knowledge about the pointers. Also, a student must have knowledge about the functions, and also a student must have knowledge about the parameters that can be passed to the functions. In this lecture, I will cover arrays and pointers, dynamic memory allocation, passing pointer variable into function, passing pointers to function. So, what is function? So, function is block of code that is used to perform some operations. So, in the C language, we are having main function, and all the execution of the instruction start from main function, and we can have many user defined function inside the main function that will be called inside the main function and implemented outside the main function. So there is two ways to pass variables to functions. One is call by value and another one is call by reference. So what is basic difference between call by value and call by reference? So here basically whenever we are declaring the variable in the C language, that can be passed to the function using parameters. So if we are passing the variable names in the function, then it is called call by value, and any modification on the function that will not reflected on the main function. But if we are passing the variable by reference, then any modification on the function will be reflected to the main function. So we will discuss more about these two terms, that is call by reference and call by value. So here in the last lecture we have seen how the pointer variables can be declared and can be initialized. So a single pointer we have seen. Pointer is used to store address of another variable. So in this way we can have double pointer also, we can have triple pointer also. So what do you mean by the double pointer? Double pointer means that at the declaration we are having 2 star before the pointer variable. Okay, so what will be meaning of that? So its meaning is that it is storing address of pointer variable, which is again storing address of another variable. Okay, so we can see in this example here PR2 PR2 is pointer variable, that is single pointer variable, which is holding the address of number variable. So we can see here number is a variable which holds 123 as the value, and the address of variable is XX771230. This address is stored at the PR2. You can see these are same, and PR1 is the double pointer, so it will store address of this PR2. Okay, so in this way this is called the double pointer. So it is also having some address. This can be stored at the triple pointer like that. And also using this double pointer, triple pointer, we can perform operation on the number variable that is pointed by single pointer. Okay, so in this way we are having double pointer, triple pointer, 4 pointers. So complexity increases when we are moving towards double, triple in this way. Okay, here I have used double pointer in this program. So in the program, as I said earlier, that all the execution of the program start with the main function. So here this is main, and inside main we are having variable number, and here we have stored 123. And in the next instruction we are having PR2, that is single pointer type, and in the next instruction we are having double pointer. As you can see, double star is there before the variable. Okay, so in the next instruction I am assigning address of number variable to PR2, and in the next instruction I am assigning address of PR2 to PR1. Okay, so in this way this PR1 is holding address of another pointer variable. So here in the next instruction we are having predefined function, that is printf. So here using this first printf we are printing the value of number. So 123 will be printed. In the second instruction, second printf function, what we are doing, we are printing value of number by using star variable. Okay, value at the address of. Okay, so 123 will be printed. In the next instruction we are printing the value of number variable by using double pointer. So double star is there. Okay, value at the address of. Okay, so double pointer is there, double star is there, then it will point to number variable. Okay, in this way we can access the value of number variable by using the pointer, single pointer and double pointer. In the next instruction we are printing address of variable. Okay, so address can be printed using ampersand operator, address of number, and then value of PR2 will be address of number variable, and the value of PR1, since PR1 has stored the address of PR2. Okay, so in this way it will also give address of number. So in the next instruction we are printing values that is stored at the pointer variables. Okay, so values are basically the memory locations. Okay, so PR2 means it is storing address of number variable, and value of a value of PR1 is address of this PR2. Okay, so in this way we can, in the next instruction, what is happening? Address of pointer P2, address of pointer, okay, address of pointer PR2 using PR1. So you can understand by visualizing this instruction. There should be no difficulty in understanding these codes. Okay, so in this way we can use double pointers to store the address of another pointer variable, and we can perform operations. And here comes call by values. So in this program we are having two variables, that is A and B. Here we have initialized A with 5 and B with 20. And here we have called one function, that is swap. Here swap is basically swap the element of A and B. And after swapping, it is printing the values of A and B. So here swap is called. The control will move toward the function definition. So function definition is here. So here two values we are passing, that is stored in the x and y. And using the third variable, we are exchanging the values of these two variables. Okay. So here what output you expect? Whether here we are printing and here we are exchanging. Okay, so basically here we are exchanging the values of these two variables, but it is not reflected in the main function because scope of these two variable is local to the function, so it is not reflected to main function. So in this way, this value that is printed here, that is all the values that we have initialized in the main function. Okay, so in this way value is not exchanged if we are passing parameters by values. Only copy of that variables are passed to the function. Okay. Next one is call by reference. So here you can see the differences. Whenever we are calling the swap function, we are passing address of these variables. Address of these two variables to the swap function. Okay. So in this way, int star, this is the pointer, int star, it is type of pointer variable which is storing address of variable A, and int star y, this is pointer variable again which is storing address of variable B. And inside the function we have another variable So here in the swap function we are having another variable t that is used to temporarily store the value of variable. So here t equal to star x. What does it mean? It is giving value at the address of x. So what x is pointing? It is pointing variable a. So it will assign the value that is pointed by x to variable t. So a, currently it is pointing a, then value of that variable a is temporarily stored to t. And in the next instruction what we are doing, we are using star value at the address y. So currently y pointing variable b, then the value at the address of y is assigned to value of x. Okay, and then in the next instruction we are assigning this t to pointer variable y. So in this way exchange has been done, and we are printing value of a and b. Then see the output. Previously it was printing a equal to 5 and b equal to 20, and these are the values that we have initialized in the main function, but our purpose was to exchange these values. But here we can see exchange has been not done when we are simply passing values of these variables. But in the next one, since we have passed address of two variables and we have stored this variable to the pointers, and after storing we are exchanging values of these two variables, and in the main function whatever exchange has been done, that is reflected to main function. Okay, so in this way using the pointer we can perform operations that is reflected to the main function. That's all about the function, and here we are starting arrays. Okay, so what do we mean by the arrays? Arrays are used to hold large data items of similar types in the contiguous memory locations. Okay, so structure is also there, that is also storing the many data items to same variables, but difference between array and structure is that array is holding similar or homogeneous data items, but in the structure we can have many different types of data items. Okay, so here we are discussing about the arrays, and we will discuss more on the structure later in this series. So when array is declared, compiler allocates a base address and a sufficient amount of storage to contain all elements of array in contiguous memory locations. Okay, so here at the declaration we are giving size of the array. Suppose in this example x is the array of type int, and here we are giving it as 5. Okay, So size of array is 5, then it will reserve, okay, 5 contiguous blocks for storing int values. Okay, so how many bytes it will occupy? Suppose your machine taking 2 bytes for storing single int variable, then it will occupy 10 bytes, 10 contiguous bytes. Okay, and also we are having the base address of the array, that is giving location of first element. And you if you remember that arrays, the first element of array is stored as index 0. Okay, compiler also defines the array name is constant pointer to first element. Okay, so here what does it means? The name of the array, by default it is giving address of first element. And in the next, suppose that base address of x is 2500. Okay, each integer require 4 bytes. Okay, so here in this machine, suppose it is taking 4 bytes to store one int variables. Both x and ampersand x0 have value 2500. So here name of the array gives address of first element, and using the index ampersand operator gives address and address of first element. So both will give 2500. So here in the example I have shown also, here p is the pointer variable, and here ampersand operator is used to initialize pointer variable. So ampersand x bracket 0. So it is stored at memory location 2500. So 2500 will be stored at the P. And in the last lecture we have seen the scale factor. If we are incrementing value of pointer by 1, then it will point next allocated memory. Okay, so here p plus 1, p is pointing first element, then p plus 1 will point next element of the array. Okay, so here both are same. P plus 2 will point third element, p plus 3 point fourth element, p plus 4 point fifth element. So here at the right side you can see initial address is 2500 and the next one is 2504. So here 4 bytes has been incremented here. Okay, in the similar way, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 16. So here it is taking 4 bytes. Okay, and also here star pi gives, here if star is there means value at the address. Okay, so p is the pointer and I is the index. Okay, so it will give value of xi. Suppose this I is 0, then it will give value of first element. So here this is the example. Here I have used arrays. This is a function to find average. So here I enter x 100. So here x is array variable which can hold 100 element, and the k and the n are two other variables. Using the scanf, we are taking value of n, and here n basically means how many numbers we are storing in the array variable x. So I have reserved 100 bytes. It doesn't mean that all bytes all bytes we can all bytes can be used, but we can store some, we can occupy or store some bytes. Okay, so it is not compulsory. Some element of this array can be initialized, other will contain garbage values. So here in this program I want to store n numbers, and this n can be 100 or less than 100. Okay, so here for k, for this is a loop, k equal to 0, k is less than n, and the k plus plus. Here why k is less than n? Since index start at the 0. Okay, so here I am storing values to the array x. Okay, and here in the next instruction what I am doing, I am calculating average. So in the printf instruction we are calling another function average, and we are printing value of that variable average. Okay, so here we are having function average that is returning float type value, and you can see here x and n, where x is address of first element of the array and n is size of the array. These two elements must be passed to the function. So here these two elements are passed to the function, and here we are having pointer variable p, and I is used in the I is used as the variable, iterative variable for the for loop, and the sum is used for calculating average. Okay, for summing the values. Okay, so here p is storing starting address, index address of the array, and using the pointer variable I am summing the values of the array. So star p plus I, and if I is 0 then it will give value of the first element, and then here I am calculating sum divided by size. Okay, so here this loop will be iterated up to size. Okay, number of elements that is present in the array, and the sum is calculated, and after sum it will calculate average, sum divided by number of elements, and it will return to the main function, and it will print the values. So here this can also be done by using the arrays, but here you can see the code, it is too easy. When we are using the pointer, then it is very easy to perform operation on the array. but it so you can see here one instruction is declared here. int a is a variable, okay, of type array. It is storing 20 int values, and I is another int variable, and p is the pointer. Okay, so how we are having different types of expression to access element of this array A. So expression A of I is equivalent to star A plus I. Okay, so as I said earlier, the name of array gives address of first element. Okay, so in the similar way, this can also be, this is equivalent to star P plus I. Okay, here P, it is storing address of first element. Okay, so these two are same. Whenever array is declared, compiler allocates a sufficient amount of contiguous memory space. The base address of array is address of 0th element. Okay, this I have already said. Suppose the system assigns 300 as the base address. Then we are having 20 elements. Okay, index always start with the 0 up to 19. We are storing 20 values. So this 0 is stored at the 300. Next element will be stored at 304. Why 304? Since scale factor of int is 4 bytes. Okay, but it is dependent, it is machine dependent basically. In some machines int takes 2 bytes, in some machines it is taking 4 bytes. Okay, suppose this this array is storing character. Okay, then it will, the scale factor is 1 byte, then after 300 301 will be there. Okay, but here that is we are having int, so it is pointing next variable that will be stored at the fourth memory location to the previous one. So here some examples are also given. P equal to A is the array variable. Okay, is equivalent to P star A0. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, think it. P is assigned 300. Okay, 300 is base address of the array. Pointer arithmetic provides an alternative way to array indexing. P equal to A plus 1. Okay, what does it mean? A plus 1 means it is giving address of first element, means second element basically here. So second element means 300 plus 4. 304 is assigned to P. So here we are having different ways to perform operation on the array. Here P equal to A. Okay, so here 300 will be initialized to P, while P is less than ampersand a of n. What does it mean? So here this is giving address of nth element. Okay, so here incrementation will be 4 bytes. Okay, so and this is same example summing the values of the arrays. This is example of summing the elements of the arrays. So here using the star p, I am accessing array element, and using the address of variables, address of array variable, I am incrementing the for loop. Okay, so this ampersand an will give the last address of last element. Okay, so till loop continues. In the next example, it is storing address of first element, and then it will iterate through last element, that is n, and here same thing, but here we are having star a plus I. Okay, so using this instruction we are accessing the array element. So in this way we are having different ways to perform operation on the arrays. Okay, using the pointers. Next one is structures. Okay, so we have discussed previously that we can store homogeneous data element in the arrays, but suppose we require to store different types of element. Okay, then structure is there. So how pointers can be used in the structures? Okay, so see this example. Here we are having struct student. This is student, and the student is having roll number, department code, float, CGPA, and here we are declaring class that is storing 100 students, record of 100 students, and we are having one pointer that will point to structure variable. Okay, the name of class represent address of 0th element of the structure array. Okay, this we have discussed in the array also, that array name gives address of 0th element. In the similar way, name of structure will give address of 0th element. And next one is pointer to data object of type struct student. Okay, and here the assignment class to pointer. Okay, so class will give address of 0th element. Okay, will assign address of 0th element to the pointer. 0th means first element. Don't confuse with the indexing. Here 0th means first element of the structure. When the pointer PTR is incremented by 1, okay, then it will point next record. Okay, in a single record we are having roll number, department code, and the CGPA. Okay, and if we are incrementing the pointer means it will point next record that will have roll number, code, and CGPA. So here what will be scale factor of this? So scale factor will be Suppose roll number is taking 4 bytes and the department is character that is having 25 characters. So 4 plus 25, that is 29, and this is CGPA, that is float. So suppose it is taking 8 bytes. So 8 plus 25, that will be 33, plus 4 means 37 byte. So if we are incrementing pointer, means the next value will be incremented to 37 bytes. Okay. Okay, so here it is also written actually increased by size of student, and it is made to point to next record. Okay. So here example is given. A structure can be passed as function as argument to function. A function can also return structure. Okay, so here I have declared one structure that is complex. Here we are having real and the imaginary part, and here in the main I am using complex variable that is type of the here structure complex is there that I have declared, and I am creating variable ABC that is type of complex structure. So how I can access this element of the structure? By using the dot operator. So using the scanf, I am initializing variables of the structures: a dot real, a dot imaginary, b dot real, and b dot imaginary. And here in the next instruction I am calling one add function. Okay, so here I add the add function. It is having return type complex, and it will add this complex, okay, complex type structure. So here you can see we are having next T, that is type complex, and here I am summing up real part and imaginary part separately, and I am returning the structure to the function. Then I am printing value of this C at the main function. Okay, so here I have performed. So same way here simple variables I have used, and also using the pointer this can be done. So here in the next example I have passed address of this A, B and C. Okay, A, B and C, and here same operation has been performed here. This X, Y and Z, X, Y and T are type complex structure, and here I am adding real part and the imaginary part, and you can see there is no any return statement. Why? Because we are passing this structure by the pointers. Okay, so address we are passing, and we are performing operation by using the pointers. So whatever operation we are performing, that is reflected back to the main function. Okay, so in this way there is no return statement, and whatever operation we are performing, that is reflected to the main function. Okay, So in the first one, I have, okay, so in the last lecture we have seen how pointers are useful in the structure. Next we will see how these pointers are useful in dynamic memory allocation. So memory allocation we have seen whenever we are declaring a variable, then a particular amount of memory allocated to the variable. Okay, means it is reserving some memory space for particular type of variable. So as we have seen that if we are declaring int variable, then uh, it is it is storing 4 bytes, then 4 bytes allocated to int variable. In the similar way, character data types takes 1 bytes, then 1 bytes is allocated to the character data type. Float will take 8 bytes, then 8 blocks of memory is allocated to float type variable. But suppose in the previous example also we have seen we have declared array of 100 elements, but at that time also said that it is not compulsory to use that or allocated space. Okay, so what if I have stored only one element to the array that is having that is declared as 100 size. Okay, so since memory is reserved for 100 element, then there will be wastage of 99 into 4 memory blocks. Okay, since int takes 4 bytes and we are storing only one element in the array of size 100, then 99 memory blocks 99 element is empty and that is occupying 4 bytes. Then 99 into 4 will be wastage. Okay, so how this situation can be dealt in the programming language? So we are having facility of dynamic memory allocation. Okay, so using the dynamic memory allocation, we can assign memory blocks dynamically. Okay, so there will be no wastage of memory blocks. Okay, many times we face a situation where data is dynamic in nature. Amount of data cannot be predicted beforehand. Okay, number of data items keeps changing during program execution. Such situation can be handled more effectively by using dynamic memory management techniques. C language requires number of elements in the array to be specified at the compile time. So often leads to wastage of memory space or program failure. Dynamic memory allocation space required can be specified at the time of execution. So C provides support for allocating and freeing memory dynamically using library routines. Okay, so we are having facility to allocate memory blocks dynamically. Okay, in the also we have seen also in case of structure, class is declared of type student. Okay, so class initially class was declared to have 100 record of student. But suppose I am storing only 10 record of only 5 student, then 95 into size of structure will be, memory blocks will be wastage. Okay, so in that situation we can use dynamic memory allocation. So we are having different functions that can be used to dynamically allocate memory. Malloc is there, allocates requested number of bytes and returns a pointer to first byte of the allocated space. We will see example also. So these are the functions. Calloc is there, allocates space for the array elements, initialize them to 0 and returns pointer to memory. Free is there, reallocate is there. Reallocates means suppose we have allocated some memory bytes, but we want to change the size, then this reallocation can be used. A block of memory can be allocated using malloc function. It reserves block of memory of specifieds and returns pointer of type void. Okay, what do you mean by this void type? Okay, so we are having different data types: int, float, character. What do you mean by this void type? Okay, void is null type. We can use this void type to store any kind of data type. Okay, so here syntax is given: malloc, byte size and the type. Okay, this type is basically the data type. Okay, and here upon successful completion of this malloc, it will return address of first byte to the pointer. Okay, example is given here. P is a pointer variable. Malloc has been used here. 100 size of int size is suppose 4 bytes, then it will occupy 400 bytes, and this has been typecasted to int, and p will give a starting address of this memory allocation. Okay, so here in the example 400 bytes has been allocated, and the first address of first memory block is stored at the pointer p. Okay, so in the next instruction, malloc 20, and it is casted to character. Then 20 blocks, 20 bytes of space for pointer. Okay, and here in the next instruction we are having structure student. Okay, and 10, and it is typecasted to struct student. So as I said, there was 3 variables inside the struct student. That was, what was that? Roll number, department code and the CGPA. This is taking 4 bytes. It is taking 25, 4 plus 25, 29 plus 8, 37. So 37 into 10. Okay, 10 elements. Okay, malloc always allocates block of contiguous memory bytes. Okay, but malloc is always allocating contiguous memory block, but it may be possible that contiguous memory block is not available at particular time. Then what will happen? Then it returns null. Okay, since there is no contiguous memory allocation, then it will return null. It is pointing nothing. So here in this example, again here average has been calculated. Okay, so here int, I and n are two variable float. You can see star is there, means it is pointer, and the float sum equal to 0, average number of students scanf n. Okay, and here size of float, and here size of float is 8 bytes, and suppose n is 10, then it is taking 10 into 8, that will be 80. Okay, and then here using this we are entering the value of height of the student. So here we are having heights of the 10 students, then n is 10 here, and we are storing values of the heights, and in the next loop we are calculating average. Okay, so in this way dynamic memory allocation is useful. We are dynamically allocating memory space, and we are using that space. But if suppose we are storing this height via arrays, and we don't know how many number of records of student will be stored there. Okay, then there will be a wastage of the memory blocks, but here there is no wastage of memory blocks, since we are allocating dynamically. And here free has been used. Free is used to free the allocated blocks. So here free is there, and inside the pointer we can give reference of the pointer to free the memory blocks occupied. And also we are having the reallocate function. If we want to change the size that was allocated previously, then we can do by using reallocation function. So syntax is also given here: reallocate pointer and then new size. Okay, so in this way we can reallocate with the new size. And after reallocation it will give different memory address of memory block. Okay, the address will be changed. Previously is had returned something, after reallocation it will give another address, another block address. Okay, if it does not find space, it will create entirely different region and move content of old block into new block. Okay, so in the first block we have stored something and we are reallocating, then it may be possible that at the reallocation we require large size or small size, then it will be allocated somewhere else, and the old data will be copied to that blocks. A function guarantees that old data remains intact. If it is unable to allocate, it returns null. Okay, this is same. Okay, so in this way we can free the allocated space, we can reallocate to new size. Okay, so in this lecture we have seen how to pass variables to the function. So here we are having two different approaches to pass variable to the function. In the first approach we have seen, if we are simply passing variables, then any modification to function variable at the function is not reflected to the color of the function. But if we are passing the variable as the pointer variable, or if we are passing address of that variables and storing it to pointer variables, then any modification that is done at the function is reflected to the color of the function. Okay. In the next, we have seen how pointers are useful in dealing with the arrays. And in the next, we have seen how pointers are useful in performing operations on the structures. Okay. At the end, we have seen how dynamic memory allocation is beneficial to remove wastage of the storage in the programming. So this we have seen. In the next lecture we will see more topics. If you have any doubts on the topics covered, then you can contact me at saroj.chandra@galgotiasuniversity.edu.in. These are the reference that I have taken to prepare the slides. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.